Today I'm looking at the new superpower in space, India, and their most successful, most recent launch where they put 3 satellites supposedly in space for Singapore. So let's have a look.
It is 1 minute 45 seconds from launch and the altitude attained is 49 kilometers. At 51
First stage
kilometers.
separated, second stage engine started, closed loop guidance initiated.
This essentially is a data fest blended with cartoons, blended with Indian naive nerds, blended with space pantomime props, all orchestrated by one dude and a CB radio, as we're about to see. Ridiculous.
प्रथम चरण पृथक कर दिया गया है यान से तथा द्वितीय चरण का प्रज्वलन शुरू हो चुका है.
Oh, I should have added, it seems to be run, a lot of it, by old PS1s, PS2, PS3, PlayStation computers.
Second stage performance normal.
You can see the flight events on your TV screens. The recent one has been the initiation of closed loop guidance and PS2 currently operating.
जी हाँ.
It is 2.5 minutes from the launch.
Ridiculous.
द्वितीय चरण 150 सेकंड का होगा.
Second
इस
stage
दौरान
performance
यह 800
normal.
किलोन्यूटन का प्रणोद उत्पन्न कर.
So we got this dude here running the show with his CB radio here. I don't know if he's reading off a cue card or he's got data on a screen. We've got cartoons being presented to these people here. No doubt to sort of back up supposedly the data they're getting on the screen. Oh dear.
यान को 174 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई प्रदान करेगा. इस चरण के दौरान 2 मुख्य घटनाएं हो रही हैं.
Payload bearing separated.
अभी अभी आपने देखा ऊष्मा कवच पृथक हो चुका है यान से तथा यान क्लोज लूप गाइडेंस के अंतर्गत है. अब इसका अर्थ है अब जायरोस्कोप और एक्सेलरोमीटर की मदद से अपनी दिशा निर्धारण कर रहा है.
I mean, this just shows you how easy it is in this space fraud. You get naive individuals who, of course, get paid for this job, quite well, I should add. So they won't question it anyway, or don't generally have the discernment to question it. They get data coming on a screen. No, a rocket takes off. A firework display, essentially. These guys get data on a screen. They get shown cartoons. Matey Boy reads it all out with his CB radio. And you're talking millions and millions and millions of pounds worth of money here for this silly charade. Bearing in mind their base claim of space, which is spacecraft orbiting a ball in a vacuum. That's scientifically impossible anyway. But then you look at what is presented from this supposed space superpower. Data, cartoons, firework display, some dude with a CB radio. It's ridiculous. I mean, look.
Speaking about the satellites taking ride in this mission, the prime satellite DSEO is a 365 kg Singaporean satellite that carries an electro-optic multispectral payload with good imaging capability that will provide full color images for land classification and serving humanitarian assistance and disaster relief
Satellite
needs.
injection.
No offence, love, it would just be so much easier to have an high altitude plane, just like NASA do, and NOAA for their weather service. It would be far easier just to have an old high altitude plane, like a WB-57 Canberra, to do the job. You could fly it where, as and when needed, as opposed to supposedly relying on satellites, which can't be in all the places at once anyway. So what's the point? And then we look at the live footage from the launch. It's cartoons. Data. naive individuals sat round looking at numbers on a screen and cartoons clapping. Cartoons separate from each other. And like I said, all run by a man with the CB radio. Can you not see the problem here?
You've been watching the onboard camera visuals.
We've been watching the onboard camera visuals, have we? No, we've watched some CGI cartoons separate. And I believe we're about to watch some space props in a minute separate. Oh dear.
Next is the dual launch adapter separation, following which NeoSAR, Singapore's first small commercial satellite carrying a SAR payload, will separate.
Oh, the tension's too much. Will this prop separate from the other prop? Can it do it? Put in the data.
अभी
just to
कुछ ही
keep
क्षणों
it
में हम साक्षी बनेंगे न्यूसार
In suspense.
स्कूप 1 उपग्रह के अंतःक्षेपण के।
New SAR satellite separated.
ridiculous.
Coupon satellite separated. PSLV C-53 DSU.
Let's just come back a smidge.
Coupon satellite separated.
So at the great finale is you get a space prop supposedly separate. That backs up the cartoons. The naive people in the control room clap. The cartoons have done their job, so has the data. But as we can see, Matey Boy here who coordinates all of this cartoon data loving tosh, has just got a few squiggly lines on his screen and some numbers. There's no one here to verify that what has just happened is really happening. We know it's not anyway, because the environment they suggest this is all happening is scientifically impossible anyway. But then when we look at the footage, like I said, data backed up by cartoons, naive individuals clapping this tosh, all coordinated by some dude with a CB radio. But when we look at his screens, let me zoom in, 2 secs. When we zoom in on his screens, we've just got tosh data, nothing to suggest that what has happened on our screen is anything but the charade it looks. Ridiculous. And people believe this tosh. Not only that, online globe representatives will defend this tosh. Some of them even boast that they've worked with this pantomime outfit known as ISRA. Phil, that's you. I wouldn't be proud of that, mate. And I certainly wouldn't be proud of the fact you defend the globe online blindly and get served up more times than an English cooked breakfast. This is supposedly a space superpower. And it is an absolute mockery at this point for anyone who believes this tosh. Like I said, the main man himself. He's just reading numbers. And he's just got data on the screen. And no doubt a high altitude plane will do the job for Singapore that these supposed satellites are supposed to back up this silly story. It's ridiculous. Why waste your time with things in space anyway when the job could be done far easier, far cheaper with a high altitude plane, just like NOAA use on the quiet, NASA use on the quiet. It's obvious at this point in time. Come on, wake up to this. This isn't difficult. This doesn't even require brains. It's just blatantly obvious. Oh dear.